Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Eliza, and today we're going to make the vegetable stew that I've already run the recipe in the Gourmet Gazette, but I wasn't running the camera properly, so we're doing it again. And to begin with, I try to get out all of my ingredients, and I start with a little bit of olive oil in a big pot. I like to cook in a big pot. We won't fill it all the way up, but if I get sidetracked, it won't boil over either. And that's basically where I'm at with that. I did just enough olive oil in the bottom to cover it, just enough, because I'm going to saute a few vegetables to get started here. Now, all right. And I've already cut up these vegetables because, to be really honest, I don't cut them properly and I don't want to be a bad example. So, they're already cut up. And I kind of keep things as 1 onion, 4 stalks of celery, and 3 carrots. And I keep everything, just about bite size. I like my stews to be hearty. And this is an all vegetable stew, so I think that's, with no meat flavoring, I think it's even more important to make sure the vegetables maintain a robust size. So, put all of that in there. And we're going to saute these for just a few minutes. On about medium heat. All right, while we cut up and prepare the rest of the vegetables and the ingredients. Now, I've washed everything, but I can't, I'm a one monkey show, so I can't follow the camera over to the sink. So I've washed everything, including cans, the tops of cans. And that's something I know if people know me and follow along some of the blogs in the Gazette and social media. I do homestead and I raise most of my own food, but I wanted to go ahead and obtain all this from the general grocery store, just so you have an idea. You don't have to, we can start eating healthier right where we are. So if you don't have a garden space or whatever, we still shop in the produce department. There's organic produce available. And I canned a ton of green beans this year, but for the purpose of the video, I wanted to share. So here's kind of where we are while this begins to, while my vegetables over there begin to saute. I have a 48, I think it's 48, 46, whatever. They keep changing all the ounces. They keep getting smaller, but the cans stay the same size for a little while. Okay, well anyway. Vegetable juice. This kind of knockoff of V8. And then just a can of green beans, head cabbage, and 2 small squash. 1 zucchini and then the yellow. And then I have a ton of little various spices, because spices and herbs just really make the dish. They just truly do. And so many spices and herbs have remedy properties as well. So we'll go over that as we go here. And just a little side note, there's a lot of people talking about preparing. And one of the things that would be really handy to have is a hand crank can opener. I don't have an electric one, but I have a slightly fancier one but these are just really handy to just kind of throw in your emergency kit. I got some friends right now that are without electricity just from the storm, so it just doesn't hurt to have these on hand. Here, I'll knock everything over. Okay. There we go. Now, I'm going to go over to the sink and drain the green beans. And as I recall, I was in the middle of telling you how inexpensive this big, huge pot of stew is. Okay, here we are. Now they're just sauteed. They're still quite firm. And what I'm going to do is add garlic powder. I never get garlic salt because that's just mixed with salt, and so you pay a lot more for it. And sometimes I use garlic cloves, but today, for the sake of convenience, I'm using garlic powder and a couple teaspoons of that in there, depending upon how well you like your garlic. I'm not a big, huge garlic fan, but you need some. Basil is what I really think is wonderful, so I add plenty of basil, and I'll even add that towards the end, right before serving, because basil is just delicious. A little salt. I used sea salt. Although, you might want to make sure you're getting it from the Atlantic after the Fukushima situation. So, and a little bit of pepper. And I like the larger, like the salad pepper. I like that. Now, oregano leaves. And I'm going to tell you, I raise a lot of my own herbs, but these containers are really handy to put them back in. They're already labeled. But, dried herbs, fresh herbs, any herbs at all maintain their property for quite a while. Oregano is great for the immune system. Turmeric, I really like that, especially with this extra cold winter we've had. Turmeric is really good for your achy bones and joints. So, I add a little of that. And then we have, I like a little ground red pepper just because it's really good. And I used to put in a couple of the red peppers that I raised, but I found out it's real easy for them to get kind of just blended into the vegetables, and then you get a real surprise bite. So I don't do that anymore. Thyme. I love the thyme. And that's very good for fighting the bugs that go around. Now, there's something called Italian seasoning, which has a mixture of the thyme and the rosemary and all of that. And you can do that, if it's a real limited budget situation, get that, and that will cover most of what I've added. I put in a little paprika because I'm out of rosemary right now. And I forgot to pick some out of the greenhouse. Okay, and then I put in just a little bit of mustard seed, just because. That's the only reason, just because. Now, blend that, mix that all around your vegetables really well. If you've got just the right amount of spice, you'll probably sneeze. Now, I throw in all these veggies and blend them as well. The squash doesn't take as long as these firm vegetables do to cook down. So, but as I said, it's kind of nice, especially with this cold winter. Kind of nice to just have a pot simmering all day long. Now there's what we have so far. Here's our blend. Now, what I do is I leave the cabbage whole. And then I've kind of got like a handle. And I just kind of slice around it. Then you have a nice neat core to pull out. My chickens love it. That's one thing that I really do enjoy about, this lifestyle is nothing, absolutely nothing goes to waste. Now, back to my cost. If you're buying it from the grocery store, you've got about $2 in your can of, if you get the off-brand V8 or vegetable juice, pardon me. You got $2 in that. About 50 cents in a can of green beans. About $1 in a head of cabbage. All the other vegetables together, you've got just about $1. By the time you get a package, even though you have to, buy a full package, you've still got, some of those things, carrots and celery come in big bunches for $1, so there's other uses for the rest of it. And that's another thing is, you know, our Heavenly Father created so many wonderful things. But also, He gave us all a gift of in His image so we can be creative too. So with those leftover carrots and leftover celery that you get, makes a wonderful chicken noodle soup or chicken and dumplings. Add that. You've still got one pot wonder. A friend of mine, when she married a gentleman, and he said, well, I don't know, I use that term loosely, but anyway, he was one of those that fancied himself to be quite the gourmet chef. And from what I could determine, that translated to every pan in the house had to be dirty when he cooked. So I was running a mission at the time, and I was given the nickname of One Pot Wonder. I like that because dishes aren't my favorite part of kitchen time at all. So I'm always thinking of what all will fit in just one pot and still have all the nutrition and all the valuable vitamins that we need. Especially in this weather, I've noticed so many people are just literally under the weather, feeling, you know. So, lots of good vegetables, lots of vitamins. So ultimately, even including the extra celery and 3 pounds of onions instead of just 1, you know, and carrots, you've got about, when you're checking out for all this, you've got about $7 spent on what's going to make over a gallon of soup. And you've got the vegetables for another nutritious meal, or maybe 2. So, now, after all of that is pretty much blended, I'll add the green beans. And again, remember to wash the tops of your cans before opening them. I'm going to put this whole thing in. And then I'm just going to enjoy the aroma for the rest of the afternoon. I recommend keeping it on medium or low, you know, enough to get it simmering, but it's a very thick stew, so you sure don't want it sticking at the bottom of your pan, because that takes all the fun out of cleanup. And I always use steel pan. I don't cook in aluminum at all. I use either stainless steel or glass. I don't use Teflon lining either. Because I noticed a long, long time ago on those Teflon skillets, there's a lot of scratch marks, and it's like, I'm guessing we're eating that. So, here's our stew. And, of course, these vegetables have, well, as they cook, they'll kind of make into their own juice a little bit. So, here we go. And that will be ready to eat in about 45 minutes or last for 3 days. And I don't put, some people like chicken, chicken stock or beef broth or something, but with it being all vegetable, it will last much longer in your refrigerator, and it will even freeze easily. But if you don't add the meat, there's not the same expiration time factor. So, this has been the Frugal Gourmet with a One Pot Wonder.